catastrophic flood we experienced.
So what kind of state resources are coming, especially for those here in the McCook Lake region who really have catastrophic loss here?
Oh, absolutely. Well, the state has been here since 2 days before the actual event happened, and have been in the Emergency Operations Center. So we, from the very beginning, had Department of Transportation here. The Department of Ag and Natural Resources has been incredibly helpful at helping us throughout the entire event, gauging river flows and knowing where the flooding was going to occur and where it was going to hit us. And then also working with Department of Health was here giving tetanus shots to folks in response during the cleanup. We've had also the Department of Public Safety provides Highway Patrol has been here, the Swiftwater rescue teams were all here, Game Fish and Parks has been rescuing people and helping put people back together and securing boats, and especially out at McCook Lake, making sure that those waters have been patrolled, but also getting those boats anchored that were there. And so still we'll be here and continue to be here throughout the process. It's through the state that all the FEMA losses need to be documented, and so we've been here before it started, and we'll be here for a very long time.
Okay. Any chance you'll change your mind and send the National Guard in?
For the National Guard to be activated, there has to be a request made, and they have to have a mission, what they would be able to fulfill as a responsibility. So there hasn't been a request made, but I think that's because in discussions there hasn't been a knowledge of what the National Guard would do. They need to be utilized in a way that is responsive to community needs, and that's always something that could be available if we identify what that mission would be, but that hasn't been requested yet.
Who makes that request?
Typically it comes from the local government or a city puts a request up, and we see if it is a mission that it can't be filled with other folks. Some of the discussions that happened before was that we needed some area and some people to secure McCook Lake during the time frame, and realized that that was something that law enforcement and highway patrol officers would be more appropriate for, because they had the actual authority to go in there and to secure an area that National Guard did not have those types of powers to do. So every single need is looked at and assessed, and we ask ourselves, what can we do to fill that the best way possible, and then those requests come through the local government.
So we've seen some famous groups set up shop in a couple Iowa communities these last couple days. Could we be seeing that here in Union County, seeing as the loss that we have here in McCook Lake?
Yeah, absolutely. We've been in communications with FEMA the entire time. The date that they've given us that they will actually be here is July 12th, because we need to continue to assess our damages. So I would encourage everybody to continue to go to sd.gov, get the individual assistance form and fill it out if you've had personal losses. And then also we will continue to work with our cities and counties to look at public infrastructure and see what the damage was. All of that we send in to FEMA. We know we already will qualify for FEMA assistance, and they'll have their teams here then. It could get bumped up. We've gotten it bumped up. They were originally going to come the end of July. They're moving that up all the time, so that's fantastic. And the administrator was very helpful in doing that.
So what were some of the big things that you discussed just this last hour with city and county leaders?
Yeah, I think we spent a lot of time talking about logistics and how we can work together, be better coordinated to be more responsive to the community needs. Communication plans we've decided to set up. I recommended that we have 2 phone calls a day, Zoom calls, where the local city government, the county government, and the state is all on the same page, and we discuss what the beginning of the day looks like, and at the end of day we have an action report as well, and communicate that, how we communicate that to community members, the work that is getting done, and how we can answer their questions.
Last question, folks.
There's a lot of frustration among residents, specifically in McCook Lake, about what happened, how it happened, the lack of alerts that they received. Could this be a lesson that the state could learn to hopefully keep this from ever happening again?
I think that one of the discussions that we've been able to have with local leaders is, what do other cities do in these situations? What do other counties do in these situations? So we're going to connect them with some resources on how is the best way to communicate with our citizens in these types of crisis situations immediately. I think that everybody needs to remember too, what we faced here was historic. It was catastrophic. The Big Sioux River coming in at almost 7.5 feet over its historic crest is unprecedented. And that McCook Lake, regardless on if the city had implemented its emergency operations plan or not, was going to get flooded regardless, and that the city tried to make the best decision they could to protect as much homes and families as they possibly could. So Those are all things that we're talking about, and that I think that we can help connect those resources and give them as much help as possible in communicating to the residents.
Thank you, folks.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Governor.
Absolutely.
Thanks for being patient.
Yeah, I know.
Like I said, it's kind of nice to be in the air conditioning.